Hi, I'm Rupert Hine, action coach near Kinross, and today I'm joined by John Gordon of Incentive Games. So, John, welcome. You set up Incentive Games 10 years ago. You're just about to come to your 10-year anniversary, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. Um, so we started the company, myself and my three other founders, about 10 years ago, but we've made a fair amount of pivots since the original foundation of the company.
So tell us what you wanted to achieve when you first set it up.
Um, well, actually, when we founded the original company, it was a fantasy football betting company. So it was more a social, interactive product that we were trying to create, where people could enjoy fantasy football and compete against their friends. So that was the original idea, and we saw it grow from there. But when we founded the company, we were actually all engineers, the founders, so we were a little bit naive about what business really entailed. We were more just focused on you know building a great product rather than a great business back then. Where the business would be more of a byproduct. But over the years, as we gained momentum and pivoted and pivoted and pivoted to be now we're the number one free to play games company in the world, in the gaming industry or gambling industry. So we provide, on a B2B level, all the free to play games or many of the free to play games for the biggest companies in the world. So Bet365, FanDuel, LiveScore, and and many others. So yeah, we've had a fair amount of pivots, and now we are 10 years into it. We've got a great company and phenomenal employees and a phenomenal product and clients.
So what was it? What was the step that caused you to take that that big pivot that moved you from fantasy football into the wider world?
Yeah, so we had relative success back in 2016. We created a fantasy football betting product, which was the number one searched app in the UK App Store several times throughout the first few weeks of it launching. But we soon realized that there wasn't a great business case in that. There was the commissions on the fantasy football betting were very low. So even though we had very little overheads and no marketing, it went viral. There was no real business case for us. So what we saw, we were great at acquiring customers at a really cheap level, and we could cross sell them to sportsbook betting or upsell them to sportsbook betting or cross sell them to casino. And we realized that what we were good at was we were great at was creating customer acquisition and retention tools, as opposed to being an online fantasy betting company. So we sort of took those learnings and those products that we had, and we took them on a B2B level, and we took them to the wider industry, and we quickly became known for creating really sticky apps on a B2B level.
So moving from selling your fantasy football product direct to the end consumer to one where you were working selling to big business, what was the big what was the challenge that you had to overcome to achieve that?
I suppose we had relative success for a few thousand people or tens of thousands of people on a B2C level in the UK. So we had good metrics. And then it was just a case of convincing the wider audience and the rest of the world that we could do it. So we could give you an example. We could acquire a customer in the UK for say £5 and get them to deposit and play fantasy football betting. And we could upsell about 25% of that. So of those people to sportsbook. So we could essentially acquire a sportsbook customer in the UK for £20, as opposed to 100 to 200 pound, which was the sort of norm at the time. And we could successfully upsell to casino about 10% of those as well. So we had amazing metrics and on a small scale, and we essentially were able to take those metrics and prove it at scale. So we started doing it with maybe tier 2 and tier 3 operators, and then more and more data and building up that reputation for product and data and conversions, and a real focus on every part of that user journey, to the point where, you know, a few years into being incentive games, we were able to, you know, partner up with the likes of LiveScore and Bet365 and FanDuel, and now we're able to boast that we have 100 million entries into our games a month. And with that, we have a lot of data points. So each year we just compile the amount of information and our experience, and to get better and better at what we do. So we've got a data team that analyzes that, the product team that will continually evolve it, and then, you know, hiring world-class developers to build it such that it's bug-free, because, you know, the Bet365 of the worlds and LiveScore and FanDuel, you cannot launch a game which has any bugs in it, because it's part of their mothership, you know, the LiveScore app or the Bet365 app. Our games sit within those. So if it's not of the highest quality, and which realistically is the same level as Instagram, Facebook and such, then you know, they will never use you again. So we always have to keep pushing the barrier on software developer quality, product quality, data engineer quality. So it's quite exciting, and it's great.
That's fantastic. I mean, it gets really interesting when you start looking at the systems that people have in place to go for that sort of 100% success. And obviously, the best known examples are things like aviation, where each time you take off in an aircraft, you rather hope that the pilot's planning for 100% success in getting you back on the ground. What are the strategies that you've used to bring that level of success, that level of quality assurance into your development?
So I myself, I'm a chemical engineer. So before I started this company, I was the lead chemical engineer for BP in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean for about 5 years before I started this company. And, you know, if you're any form of engineering, I think what we found is, you know, precision engineering is key, and it's when you're building product as well. So we never rest on our laurels there. I think one of the key inflection points is when we hired our CTO, who's a perfectionist in his discipline. So I'm a chemical engineer, I'm not a software engineer, but we're always dedicated to hiring the best in each discipline as we could, and building a team around them. So we found the best product person we could find, the best data person we could find, the best technical person we could find, and basically just build a team around them. And when it comes to the quality of the engineers, we have a rigorous onboarding process or hiring process with rigorous tests, not just on technical ability, but on the culture. We're proud to say we do a 4-day week here, and it's a true 4-day week. The guys work Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday, and we build that culture where once we do have the best people, we keep them and we look after them. And by doing a 4-day week and working on our culture so closely, we're able to compound the level of knowledge and experience, because our churn rate is practically zero. And for that reason, we're able to compound the level of output, because we're keeping those people and retaining that level of excellence. I'll give you an example. You know, we can launch a game for Bet365, 130 countries, and not have a single bug, no support tickets. And that's sort of the level we are at, and we've been working hard to get there, but we never sort of rest on that. We're always looking to improve it, automation, testing, and part of that is QA, internal and external. So I think it's having the engineers as founders, the four founders are all engineers, and having that true sort of focus on what real engineering should be, and how that we shall not reduce our level of quality. It cannot be compromised.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's it's a pretty impressive feat. One of the challenges that you quite often get with people who are very detail focused, you get some great, you obviously get the attention to detail, you get the perfectionism. The challenge that often goes with that is being able to do things quickly and being fleet of foot because you always want to make sure it's perfect. How to be able to build what you've built in 10 years, you've moved stuff at pace. How have you managed to build a business quickly whilst at the same time having that that real detail focus?
It's a good question. I think the this is a real kernel of information. Actually, it isn't the complexity of the games. So I'm very confident that no one can copy us because it's not on the front end of our games. Our games are relatively simple, and it looks relatively simple, like an iPhone button, or
Mm.
when they had a button back in the day. But the real psychological maths and data sits on the back end. And we build on that every time. So we've got all the components that we know which will work. I think building a new game may only take us 4 to 6 weeks, and it looks great, animations and everything. But for the user experiences, it is quite linear, and it's just we are a perfectionist of making sure that what I always say is the behavioral economical equation is if you want someone to conduct a certain behavior, they need motivation, ability, and a trigger. And the trigger is often an external trigger. So marketing, people need to know the game exists. But what we become is an internal trigger in the user's brain to come back and play our game every day. And that's a real key. But one thing that I focus on, I'm fixated on is ability. So how easy is it to play the game? How much of a social norm is it to play the game? How much does it cost? Our games are free. How much of the cognitive part of your brain do you need to use to enter the game or play the game? And we really focus on that. So ironically, as our games get better and better, it's all about user experience, and the front end is all about making it as easy as possible to play. Motivation is the other part of that equation, and that's much more expensive. And because the games are free and they can win cash or prizes, that's usually enough for them to play the games if everything else is right. But no, we do move quickly. I mean, we sometimes, we're working really tight deadlines where they sign the contract 1 week and we need to launch it in 3 weeks. And we can do it mainly because of, like I say, that compound knowledge and the way we're able to sort of pick and choose what we've used in the past. But we'll never compromise on, the testing part of it, and is it ready? We would never release it if it wasn't. But being a CEO, which I am in terms of I need to balance, features versus, going live. So we can maybe remove a feature to get it out a bit quicker because we can say that can come out after. But we do pride ourselves on being nimble and fast still. And we need to work to, I was going to say some other client that we've not signed yet, which we'll soon sign, but I'll keep that to myself for now. But yeah, whatever their timelines are. So if they say we've got a launch window in November, we need to just work to that launch window, because if we don't hit that, when will it be? February? Well, we can't do that. So we need to be totally malleable to our clients' plans.
Yeah. So in creating those systems, in creating that body of knowledge, you've you've not only pivoted the business, you've pivoted your career from chemical engineer through to business chief executive uh, and that expertise in the psychology and motivation that people have got. What what's the most influential book you've ever read?
Um, Hooked by Near EL. So the hook cycle is one. So hooked, and the other one would be actionable gamification. So that's by Yukai Chow, and Yukai is an investor, an advisor in our company. He's got a great TED talk. And Near is a confidant of mine. We speak every now and again. So I do. I don't think they're exact blueprints of what we do, but the fundamental principles are there. On from a personal level, in terms of daily habits, and from a personal perspective, Atomic Habits is a good one as well. So I think Atomic Habits would be the personal level, and Hook would be when you're building product. But I think it's good for everyone to understand the heuristics of their own habits, and these as your everyone's time becomes more valuable, or attention and eyeballs, it's good to understand the psychology behind it, even for your own, if you want to be distracted or indistractable. So that's another one by Neil, where he wrote the book on being hooked, about building products that can get you hooked. But then he wrote an antidote to that, which is indistractable. To basically just to help if you're trying to not be distracted from
Yeah,
games and apps, is a good one.
fantastic. I run a small book club, so always good getting. I love Atomic Habit. I shall be adding the others to my reading list. So
Mm-hmm.
you've created really quite an interesting business in 10 years. Where are you going over the next five?
So in reality, it's pretty much the last 3 years that we've sort of taken off. Um, we'll be at 100 employees next year, and we're smashing all these metrics in terms of business and employees and profits and clients and such. I think what we do in the gambling industry, we can adapt to e-commerce. So Amazon, we could do it for the likes of Costa or Starbucks. So the techniques are there about changing behavior, and we could do something for Uber. So we've never been able to move out of this industry, because there's just always so much opportunity here for us, and we're pretty good at it. But there could be a good chance to break out into different industries. But as things stand, it's not always been easy. It does sound like as if we've sort of not quite made it, but we're enjoying it at the moment. We're enjoying the good times, working with amazing people, amazing clients. We've got amazing staff and culture. So here in Edinburgh, we've got a nice office, and remote people come and go, and we're just really enjoying it as two of the founders, Stuart and I. We work in the business, the other two founders don't, but Stuart and I are sort of enjoying the good times as it is, and not exactly patting ourselves in the back, but given the tough road we've had, due to COVID and so on and so forth, we're just enjoying things as it is.
Excellent. Well, it's always good to hear that people have created great businesses which allow them to enjoy time. Um, there's always the question, what comes next? So you're insulated from the next spin of the cycle. But that's been really good. That's been fascinating. Congratulations on everything you've done, and congratulations next month when the business turns 10. It's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.